Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Sam.
That was when
Morning.
we haven't been talking for a few minutes already, and we're just.
Yeah.
I will say while we're waiting for a couple people to walk in. So outside this window behind me is MD Anderson, like the most incredible cancer care facility in the country, in my opinion, and a beautiful little lake. And last night at about maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, my dad and I are here and asleep and wake up, and there's like a full-on hurricane going on out here. There's like pieces of the roof everywhere. Like it was nuts. And there was a little bit of a whistling behind this window. And at one point I was like, should I close the curtains? Like, are we about to blow a window? Like it was crazy. We don't get that kind of weather in El Paso. And so I guess, in a
Wow.
place like this time of the year when the temperature's changing pretty dramatically, it was nuts. Um,
Yeah.
so if I got some extra bags today, to go along with my typical ones, maybe that's part of the reason why.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was there were a couple points where it was like the sky basically was just staying lit up. There was so much lightning. It was kind of neat actually.
So, Sam, you're traveling all the time across the country, speaking at all these events. Tell us, where were you for the eclipse?
I was actually on a plane between El Paso and Houston, headed here with my dad. And when it started to happen, the captain announced it. And I had picked the right side of the plane. I was like, hey, Dad, I think if we sit on the right side based on the direction, like it should be up there somewhere. And I'm like, you couldn't like really get it. But I actually got my phone upside down and was able to like get a little angle and saw it a little bit. But man, some of the most amazing ones I saw, like Niagara, but Dallas, Texas. Man, I know a ton of people in Dallas and Austin, and I mean, it was like nighttime. Like all the lights
Yep.
came on, like it was amazing. Were you guys where you are now, or were you someplace else? Or
Yeah, I was in Northern Virginia,
yeah,
Did you
so
guys
not quite the
see
same experience.
did you guys see this one though? Oh wait, it's too
Oh,
dark. Oh,
no.
I'll put it
because
in
of
the
the blur.
thing.
Yeah.
I was
I
gonna
did.
say,
I do have a colleague in Texas, in Dallas, and her son got a video through a telescope, and it's truly amazing. And then there's a little bit of cloud coming over. It's so cool.
Yeah,
So I'll group text it to you guys after this.
and
Oh, wow, we're at 10:02.
yeah. Here we're just letting man. There's a bunch of people logging in. We're just letting them log in. We're talking about what everybody else has been talking about aimlessly for the last few days.
for
Yeah,
sure.
It works in mysterious ways and does cool stuff sometimes, though. It was really cool.
absolutely. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome to our third and final event in the Top Producer Series. For those that don't know, I'm Beverly Franklin, Director of Marketing and Communications at MBH. And as you may know, this is our first Acrisure Title Partners event with Champion, MBH, and District Title coming together to host this three-part series. So first we went over generating listings, where Sam gave us way more than 6 tips on how to do that. Then we went into using Google, our #1 search engine, to get you more leads. And now today we're going to go over scroll stopping ads with our 2 meta favorites, Facebook and Instagram. So if you missed the first 2 sessions, Katie's going to let you know how you can get your hands on those replays. But I wanted to tell you, we got the most amazing feedback about this series and about our presenter, Sam. So I'm going to embarrass him one more time and read one of the quotes. So here we go. I know you are probably hearing this a lot, but where has Sam Trimble been my whole career in real estate? These past 2 webinars have been the best. He is thorough, teaches us exactly what we need to know, and shows us the practical things we need to do. I can hardly wait for next month's webinar. That's today. Thank you for bringing these to us. So you're welcome. And I wanted to personally thank everyone here for joining us, for sharing this event series with your colleagues and your friends, and for your kind words about the series and about our presenter, Sam. So this is just the beginning of what our 3 Acrisure partners, Champion Title, MBH Settlement Group, and District Title, will be bringing you this year. And I'm so excited about the future. I want to encourage you all to continue working with the brand and the teams that you love. And speaking of one of those teams that we love, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Senior Business Development Representative at Champion Title, Katie Solomon, who will intro Sam and give you a little bit more information.
Thanks, Bev. I am Katie Solomon. I've been with Champion for now 7 years and consistently growing with them. And I've been really excited about Sam's classes because I was just telling him earlier, the agents have raved about him since we had him the first time a couple of years ago. So it's great to see the same type of feedback coming through. If you are looking for the recordings for the classes that we have, we are sending out follow-up emails if you have registered. So we have class 1, 2, and 3 that will be going out today. And so it will be the slide decks, and it will also have the video from Sam. And so, yeah, I mean, Sam is pretty great. He has been, speaker for him and all the different things. He is always on a airplane, we have learned. He makes our Nova, traveling look boring. He's constantly on the go. And I also got a lot of great feedback, and a very high producer sent me an email after class 1 and said, Katie, I think this is one of the best classes I've taken my whole career. So we really, really appreciate Sam and taking the time. And so Sam, we are ready for you. We hope to have you back again soon. These 3 classes have been, I'm sure class number 3 will be just as great as 1 and 2, but Sam is the man. We're so excited to have him back. We loved having him a couple years ago. Are you blushing yet?
Yeah, I am. Luckily, I have we're on Zoom, so I can have a little filter so you can't see how tired I actually am. But thanks so much to Tim and Andrew Hooper for connecting me and allowing me to be a part of this as well. But it's been awesome to work alongside you guys in various ways the last few years, and the kind words from the realtors. I mean, it's just one of those things, like, you just step out in faith and try new stuff. Like, that's what I do. I'm afraid of all of it at first, and then I kind of take a big deep breath, realize that I am strong and I am capable and I can do this, and then you start somewhere. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and you guys can see this, right? This little cool. So today we're going to talk about Facebook and Instagram ads. Just giving you a little bit of a background. You don't need a background about me, so I'll skip right through that one. We've come to know each other well. But giving you a little bit of a background, I actually have a company called Star Creative based out of Texas, with clients around Texas and clients around the country. That's a social media management and marketing, advertising, and PR firm that's kind of a past life and still kind of current life. And so these are things that I've been doing for years now. And what I will say is, digital advertising, whether you're doing retargeting, and we'll talk about that a little bit, whether you're doing Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, whatever it might be, that stuff, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, but it's really not that complicated when you start to dive in. So here's our stop today. We're going to start talking a little bit about optimizing your profile, because I think it's really important to have a baseline. We talked about that with Google last week, right? Like tuning it up, making it look nice and shiny and effective before we send people there. We're going to talk about ways to start conversations, which is the most important thing. When you talk about a Meta or an Insta ad, like, what is the whole point? The point is to start a conversation. Our very first session of these 3, I told you one of my favorite things, which is a shifting market is a battle for conversations, right? They can happen at church, they can happen at networking events, they can happen around the water cooler, and they can absolutely happen on social media as well. I'm going to talk about creating a solid digital audience and what you need to do that. And then we're going to explore a little bit about some of the possible delivery mechanisms to make these things happen. So we need to be where our clients are. This number should absolutely be on a Post-it note on your mirror. 96% of all home buyers and home sellers in America start their search online. And the funny thing is, if you're anything like me, you guys mentioned I'm on the road a lot. So I'm on the road a lot, and obviously I don't skip a ton of meals, right? So that said, I like to find good restaurants. We found that consumer behavior has changed a little bit. I still Google quite a lot, but have you guys noticed that we'll actually go to Instagram or Facebook and look for something, right? We're actually searching on social media platforms, especially Instagram right now. And we talked on that second part about Google, about the term near me becoming kind of a hot search term. We're all searching, pub. If you're like me, free Fireball near me, maybe, or like best Italian food near me, best sushi near me, whatever. Cutest puppies to pet near me, whatever. Right. So like that near me thing is becoming a big part of something like Instagram too. People are searching sushi near me or whatever. But basically everyone is starting their home search online, and we know that. And to realize that it's happening more than ever on social media, I think, is really important. So there's the basics, updating your profile, of course. And I'm gonna talk about Instagram kind of mostly, but you're gonna see how they relate too. So don't worry, I'm not gonna leave out the Facebook OGs like myself. So one of the first things to have a simple username. I actually can't have Sam Trimble. There's some stupid architect in New York who's super successful and good looking that has that jerk. But simple username, whether it's your full name, whether it's Sam Trimble El Paso lifestyle, whatever city you're in. I stay away from the term, like Sam Trimble real estate or Sam Trimble realtor, because to be perfectly frank, there are consumer studies that show that it's actually a little bit of a turnoff. That's why I tend to go more towards something like lifestyle or neighborhoods, because it's more about where you live and less about focusing on the person in that moment. Clear and either semi or a professional headshot, I think, is relatively important. To be frank, I haven't had a professional headshot done in I don't know, like 15 years or something like that. I think my dad was the one that did the last one for me. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. But having a lot, not a lot of dead space around your head, around your face, so that you can be seen really visibly. And then how can you help these people, right? I used to talk about creating generational wealth. If you guys know, as a real estate agent, the number one indicator of generational wealth is homeownership. Right? It's not education. It's got nothing to do with other demographics. It's got nothing to do with anything. The number one reason is home ownership, right? That proves that a family will develop generational wealth. So how could I help my clients? In the past, when I was still promoting my real estate business, I was creating generational wealth for El Paso clients since 2007. That's what I was doing. So there's a couple quick things, and then just a couple more I wanted to talk about. If you want to be able to run ads, of course, you have to have a public account that is either an entrepreneur, creator, or a business account on Instagram, and you have to have a business page on Facebook, obviously. One of the things that I always think is kind of interesting is I'll see people that have a creator, entrepreneur, or business account on Instagram, but their contact options are hidden. So we talked about LinkedIn briefly, I think, in our first session, and I love LinkedIn because right at the top, you click contact info. If I'm on Bev or Katie's page, it's going to drop down all their contact info. Instagram actually has that too, but a lot of people don't realize it and they have it hidden. So when you have a public account, go to contact options, add your phone number, calling and texting capabilities, and then at the very bottom, there's a little toggle and you need to click unhide. If it's hidden, your contact info will not show up on your page. So as a realtor, obviously, I want people to be able to reach me however they want, whenever they want, as easily as possible in the most convenient way for them. So make sure that you go down there and unhide your contact info. Story highlights are a big part of an optimized Instagram profile in my mind, because it's a way for you to be able to literally tell your story or tell different stories any time of the day, whether you're sleeping, traveling, on vacation, in a tanning bed, or hanging out by the pool, right? Doesn't matter. So when you're thinking about those story highlights, some testimonials, some home tours, some neighborhood highlights, some past client highlights, things like that, but things that live in perpetuity, and they're what we call evergreen content, right? So there's pertinent, timely content. We've all been talking about the NAR settlement, right? That's pertinent and timely. If I was, would I want that maybe on my profile right now? Maybe. Is that going to last a year or two from now? No, probably not. But will testimonials, right? Hey, Katie is amazing. Every time I work with her on the champion crew, I have a great closing and they're just wonderful. That will last forever, right? That is evergreen content. So when you think about those highlights, think about things that are evergreen that will last forever in perpetuity, and you're not going to have to change a lot. Don't forget, and I'm going to show you how to find in just a second some of the top keywords for wherever you are and exactly what you're doing. But don't forget to use some keywords, not only in the captions of your photos, but also actually in your bio, and then have some kind of a call to action, whether it's a link offering you heard the market's crazy, what's your home actually worth today? Whatever it might be, have some kind of a call to action in your profile as well. That way, when someone arrives there after seeing one of your ads, they're seeing it in the best light possible. So again, I said that a shifting market, and really any market, I started saying that at the beginning of the shifting market. I'm going to say this for the rest of my career. Like, business is a battle for conversations. How can you start, maintain, sustain, and grow the ability to have more conversations with more people in a more meaningful way, right? The person who does that is going to win every single time. So how do we start meaningful conversations that can lead to new opportunities? To do that, we need to talk about what matters to our clients, right? So one of the mindsets I want to get you out of as you start to think through some of this is, it's not about what we want. It's not about what I think is cool. It's about what my clients want, what they need, and what they think is cool. So how do we find out? I want to kind of dive into that a little bit. So over the next 3 slides, don't feel the need to take screen grabs or any of this. Bev and Katie and everybody will get the presentation out. Over the next 3 slides, I compiled like 120 different questions that are the top questions people are asking about real estate. And I'm going to show you exactly how I got this. But let's just kind of glance through a few of these. How important is location when buying a new home? Did you know about various types of mortgages? How do you determine the right listing price? Ever wondered about perks of buying new construction? If we go to the next page, what should you look for during a home inspection? What are the perks of buying a home in a gated community? What are the tax implications, right? Onto this 3rd page. And again, I'm going to send you guys all this, so don't worry about it. How do you handle multiple offers on your home? What are the key factors that influence appreciation? How do I effectively market my home for home buyers? What are the first steps? There's like 100 some odd questions right there. Those are the questions that home buyers and home sellers are asking online. So we need to figure out ways to create ads that are answering those exact questions. Like we talked about before, that is all your blog content. That is pretty much all your social content that's outside of personal stuff, which I still think should be like 80-20, 80 personal, fun, relatable, 20% business related, in my opinion. Maybe even like 85-15 or 90-10, because nobody ever like had an emotional reaction to an open house flyer. At least I haven't. So that you can see there's a million different things that you can talk about and that your ad should be focusing on. We touched on it before, but I want to show you exactly where to get the type of content that you should be creating ads with. So the first one I want to talk about is answer the public. We mentioned it the other day. So when I went in to answer the public on this one, you can do this in a few different ways. Like I like the creative wheel. It makes me feel like creative and special and intelligent. You can also just get a list, which is probably more my speed, and I should have done that. But so I simply went in to answerthepublic.com, and it is a place where you can search for keywords and key questions that consumers are asking online about a particular industry. So if I had a sneaker shop, I could put sneaker shop El Paso, Texas, and it would do something very similar. In this case, I just generically put buying or selling a home, and it came up with 86 questions that are the top questions that consumers are asking about buying or selling a home. And you can see how it broke it up into like can, how, what, when, where, which, who. But there's 86 individual potential pieces of content there. And also, when you really aggregate those down, these are what our ads should be targeting. These are what people are looking for when they're trying to learn more about buying or selling a home online. So once you realize the conversation that needs to be had, which is based in what a consumer is looking, the question that a consumer is looking to have answered, makes it a hell of a lot easier to be able to come up with some ad content that is a little bit more pertinent. One of my other favorites is Google Keyword Planner. And by the way, so answer the public, you can do like 2 or 3 free searches a day, I think. Google Keyword Planner is 100% free in perpetuity. Like they want you to spend money on Google, so they give you tools like this. Google Keyword Planner, I was able to actually go in and I sorted it by zip code. And these were the top things that people were searching for. You can see 100,000 to 1 million times around El Paso homes for sale. Notice that near me again. We're seeing that everywhere. Sell my house fast, right? Land for sale near me. Buy my house. Like using Google Keyword Planner, you can find some of those other top keywords really, really easily. And then one of my favorite is by a company called Moz. Great group of people. It's an SEO company. They have some paid products, but they also have some free products. And one of my favorite is their Keyword Explorer. So I did the same thing here. And these ended up being the top 5 questions people were asking, right? Steps to buying a house for dummies, which I thought was actually kind of cool. Like, I don't know if that book exists, but it should. Buying a house, how to buy a house, how do I buy a home? Those were the 5 that were most prevalent. And again, it's moz.com/explore. So when you're thinking about creating an ad, that first part is to decide, what are we trying to convey here, right? Is it a familiarity campaign? We just want them to know our face and know what we do. Or do we really want to dive in and answer questions? I feel like when we're answering the pertinent questions that consumers have, the result that we get from those pennies and dollars spent is going to be significantly better than trying to educate them on broad things that they could care less about. So there's a few different type of ads to talk about. I wanted to run through them relatively quickly. Of course, there's image ads. Of course, there's story ads. We've seen them all the time, right? We're flipping through somebody's stories on Facebook or Instagram, and then up pops. In my case, it's usually an ad for like BarkBox or CVs, like my favorite kind of tennis shoes that I wear a lot. We're used to those. We're used to video ads. We don't see them quite as much anymore, but I've been a huge fan of carousel ads for a while, which is multiple images on an individual ad. It's a lot more engaging. Some of them now actually start to move and kind of carousel around as you scroll, which is good and appealing for the eye as far as scroll stopping is concerned. There's collection ads, there's explore and exploration ads, shopping ads, and then there's reel ads. All of these can be run at the same time. The only thing that you come across when you start to do all of them at once is a little bit of sizing issues, but those are super easy to find now. It used to be like you had to, it was like an Indiana Jones adventure trying to find the right size for the different like social media platforms, but now it's pretty easy to find. They publish them and they haven't changed them for the last couple of years, so it's kind of cool. So one of my favorite type of ads is the persuasive promise, right? Like that's kind of what we call this in the ad world. And that is basically being able to commit yourself to helping somebody accomplish something in a persuasive way. So I love this one. And you'll notice too, like I'm not going to show a bunch of real estate ads. I have said it before and I'll say it again. I think we should be comparing ourselves to businesses outside of our industry. Right. I think one of our biggest problems, and I'll say it on the title and underwriting side, you guys maybe are familiar with it on your title side. Realtors are definitely familiar with it. I'm still a recovering realtor, so I can say this. Lenders, we all do it. We're comparing ourselves to each other. Right. My dad told me a story one time that he was in Turkey, in Istanbul. And there's a lot of places in Europe and actually in Mexico that are a little like this, but I hadn't quite heard of it like this. And he was like, man, you'd walk down this street and it's all hardware stores. Like this is the street for the hardware stores. Oh, you need a pharmacia? Okay, you walk down this street, it's all pharmacies. That makes no sense. Like entrepreneurially, that makes no sense. I want to be the pharmacy or the hardware store amidst a bunch of other random businesses. So I'm your go-to guy. So why it is like that? I mean, those societies have been around a lot longer than ours, so maybe they know something that we don't. But to me, it doesn't make any sense. You don't want to do that in an ad space either, right? I don't want to have the exact same ad that every other realtor has. It looks exactly the same. It promises the same things, probably is a similar headshot, right? Like all of those things. I want to stand out and be different. So when you're thinking about getting creative with some of your social campaigns and your digital advertising, compare yourself against other companies outside of the real estate world. Use them as inspiration. One of my favorite things, and this is the only way I'm able to like keep things straight, is when I see things that I really like online, I'll take a screen grab and I created an album on my phone and I save it as different types of inspiration for stuff. Because otherwise I'll be like, one time I saw this ad, but sometimes I can actually pull it now. So persuasive promise is cool. PayPal says, you know what? We're going to bring 30% more repeat buyers to your business by using PayPal. Right? If I'm a business owner, I'm like 30%. That's almost a third more repeat clients. Like that's a cool thing. In the real estate world, we've talked about our lack of repeat business. That would be kind of cool if we could get somebody to promise us that. So what is that for you as a real estate agent? Look up your MLS statistics versus everybody else. What is your average days on market? What is your average list to sale price ratio? What are the average absorption rates in your top neighborhoods? What neighborhoods have you maybe sold more properties than any other realtor? You want to get into production a little bit, find some of those statistics, and those are persuasive promises. You know, thanks to the honor and privilege my clients have given me over the last couple of years, I have sold more homes for more money faster than anybody else in Mesa Hills. Thank you to my clients and customers, right? That's a persuasive promise. And I put here at the end, like, remember the gratitude part. When we start getting into production data and things like that, you know, I don't know if I said it here. I know I said this on a podcast at one point recently. So if I said it here, just tell me to shut up and I'll move on. But you can actually like hear the postcard ads that we get at our house, right? Like it's just a piece of paper, but I can hear them because one of them says like, I've sold more houses for more money than any other realtor faster in your neighborhood. You want to sell your house? Call me. And I'm instantly like, yeah, no. Right. And then there's the thanks to the trust that my clients have placed in me. My family and I took our very first vacation to Disney World this year because over the last 12 months, I was able to sell more homes for more money faster than any other realtor in your neighborhood. And I just wanted to thank you and all of my clients for the opportunity to have that first vacation in many years. Cheers to a wonderful 2024. That says the same thing. I literally just said the same thing, but one makes me want to rip it up and throw it in the recycling bin. And the other one makes me want to be like, you know what? Let's see if we can send this family to Disney World again next year, right? You're telling someone the same thing. You're just coming from a place of gratitude. So I try really hard to do that. I'm not always good at it. I'm human. There's a lot of things I suck at, and that's probably one of them. But when you start to sit down thinking through these ads, think less about the wow factor and more about lifting up, supporting your community, and showing some gratitude and appreciation. It's amazing, not only how much better it makes you feel, but it makes people feel different too. And we talked about that we live in this time of a feeling economy. People are more concerned about their experience even than the cost of things in today's world. So keep that in mind. But I like the persuasive promise. So there's a few different methods, right? So here we are on Instagram. There's the simple boost method. So if you've ever posted anything on Instagram and you have a public profile that's either an entrepreneur, creator, or business profile, bottom right-hand corner, it says boost, right? You guys have seen that button. So when you click that button, this is kind of what happens, right? You select a goal. Do you want some more visits? Do you want website visits? Do you want messages? If you have your call button or a text button active, that will show up here. What are you looking for? And then you'll simply go over to define your audience. Don't forget, like, these algorithms are really, really smart. So there's no way to get around this, and you wouldn't want to anyway. It wouldn't necessarily be probably the most ethical thing to do. But under the special requirements, we are in the housing industry, and it is a, federally protected. There are federally protected classes for clients and customers in the housing industry. So make sure under special requirements, you click down and you click housing. If you skip that, your ad will get rejected for sure as soon as they realize it's a real estate ad. So you can kind of let it target people automatically that are similar to your followers. That's kind of the easy, lazy way to do it, like set it and forget it. But then you can create your own. And this is just through the mobile app. This is not getting into Ads Manager, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. So when you start to create your own targeting, when you start to type in a few demographics, right? Mortgage loan quotes, home search, first-time home buyer, whatever it might be, it's going to start to suggest things that are related to that. Within 30 or 45 seconds, you could probably have 15, 20, 25 demographics that are very specific on the type of target that you're looking for. For example, when I had a luxury listing that was up by a place called Coronado Country Club in El Paso, I would start putting in luxury travel, fine art framing, photography, sailing, tennis, golf, like all the things that would be related to a demographic that certain type of property would serve. And then you get to select what kind of placements you want. One of the greatest things that Mark Zuckerberg ever did for marketers and realtors was buy Instagram, right? So that's been years now that he bought Instagram. The greatest thing about that for us as marketers were we can now just push a toggle button and we can have ads running on both platforms. In the OG days, you were having to run separate ads on LinkedIn, Instagram, Google, Facebook. There were MySpace ads at one point, by the way. Like that shows like this great coming in hot, but there actually were MySpace ads. Shout out to Tom. But you were having to do that a bunch of different places. Now with Facebook and Instagram, two of the best, in my opinion, to be able to leverage for actual leads. You just literally toggle a button. So right here, it's like, you want to put this on Facebook? And I'm like, yep, right? So it's pretty simple. And then the last piece of boosting a post, and they always overestimate these a little bit, by the way. I never really quite trust these numbers. Every once in a while, they'll be like, we're going to show this ad to 65,000 people. And I'm like, well, that's weird because I saw that you showed it to 12,000. That's not the same. But you can select a budget. So one of the things a lot of people freak out because in the early days, there were some kind of like interesting algorithmic changes on the back end of social media advertising where you would wake up one morning and have a heart attack because you would get a confirmation that your credit card had been charged like $15,000, right? So they're really good now about being able to set budgeting. So if you're worried about spending money, you can do this stuff for as little as $1 a day, and they're not going to overcharge you. That is a thing of the past. It doesn't happen anymore. So in this case, you would set a daily budget, and then you could run it until you pause it. Or what I like to do is set a duration and then kind of split test. So split test meaning maybe take 2 posts if you're going to use the boost method. Maybe take 2 posts, typically the ones that had gotten the most organic engagement, and then split test those, see which one performs a little bit better to give you an idea of the things you should be focusing on. So in the boost method, it is just that simple. It literally could be done in a few seconds. When you click next here, if you have never done an ad before, you're going to have to put in payment information. It can be a PayPal account or a credit card or whatever. And there's actually some credit cards that give you like double points for social media advertising. So you might want to check that out. I like free travel. So the other method is through Ads Manager, which is the back end of ad software on Meta and Instagram. It's a little bit more complicated, but you can do a lot more with it. So I wanted to just show you kind of a quick kind of step-by-step process on how to get an ad up and running, depending on what type you want to run. So the first thing is, and if you just search Meta Ads Manager, it'll type it out for you because it's this long thing. And actually at the top right, when you're on Facebook on a desktop, at the top right, when you click that little toggle and you drop it down, there's actually a section that can throw you into ads if you have an active page, for example. So you literally start by clicking this create button. That's the very first thing you do once you're into Ads Manager. And then you're going to choose an objective. And I think these objectives are really important because we want to think about what we're trying to do here. One, is it awareness? I call these FAM campaigns, right? Familiarity. So if I want to run $1 a day every day for 2 years, because I want everyone in a certain zip code or a few zip codes to have seen my face, to have seen my, face on a kind of like bus benches back on the day. I want them to become familiar with my name, recognize I'm in the community or whatever. Then you may just want to do an awareness campaign. You're going to reach the largest number of people. It's not going to turn into a ton of conversations. But to me, the baseline as a real estate agent is to have a few awareness campaigns. Maybe it's about some, a little bit of a charitable activity you've done. Maybe it's a little bit about production. I'd probably stay away from that. Maybe you do Habitat for Humanity a couple times a year, like something like that. That's kind of a feel-good story. I think that is a good place to start for the awareness campaign. For a traffic campaign, you're turning your goal into funneling people to your website. That is the goal. That can get kind of interesting and kind of fun because you can measure that stuff. You could also then track it on the back end of your website, which is really fun, which would be like digital advertising 301 or something one day. If we do another session, we can jump into that. There's an engagement objective. That is just, I want to get more views, I want to get more likes, and I want to get more shares on my content. That's a good one. My favorite in this world, if I'm sitting here as a realtor looking to grow my business right now, is the leads. So I mentioned my company, Star Creative, based in Texas. We've had clients from dentists to realtors to roofers, home builders, all kinds of companies around the country. The leads, the lead forms that you can create and the lead ads are really kind of neat because the contact information, picture hosting an open house, right? Like Katie and Bev or the realtor dynamic duo, and they're hosting an open house, and I go in and they're like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, hey, I'm Sam. They're like, wow, you look tired. And I'm like, I am. And then we move on from that conversation, right? And then they're like, hey, would you mind signing in? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I'm like, Jim Thompson, 916, like it's probably not going to be my contact information. The wonderful thing about lead form ads on Instagram and Facebook is it is automatically toggling over their contact information, and that is their login information and their account recovery information. There's those stupid bubbles again. Is the heart one still working? Oh my gosh. And that, I got to figure out how to turn that off. If anybody knows how to turn that off, drop it in the
Sam,
chat.
don't turn it off ever, please.
There's a piece one too with balloons, I think.
There should be. Good.
Oh, there is.
I love it.
I think we're going in a new direction. I love this.
Taking this a whole nother direction. So the lead form is really cool because it's taking the login information that they use and their recovery information. So it is their actual email they use to log into Instagram. It is their actual phone number that they have for two-factor authentication or account recovery. And they're able to sign up for these lead ads or able to submit their information with a couple clicks. So if you guys have ever seen an ad where at the bottom it says learn more, you click learn more, and then it automatically has like Katie Solomon, C Solomon at gmail.com, 916, whatever. It has all that stuff, and you just click it. So in 2 clicks, you've given them all of your contact information. The cool thing about that is every day you can change this if you wanted to. Every day you'll get delivered to you a CSV file of all of the people that have contacted you with real information. So there was a home builder in El Paso, Texas. We're on the other side of the country, so I can talk about it. It's called Bella Homes, owned by this great guy named Richard Aguilar. They're a client of my social media ad firm. In 2022, we sold 87 houses using lead form ads, right? So I think we had like 13 or 1400 responses. We sold 87 houses using this type of ad. And the average cost on an ad like this probably ended up being somewhere in the range of like 80 cents or something like that, ballpark, if you're hitting it well. So, and you can always tailor that stuff and you watch your costs and kind of bob and weave and see what's working best. But the leads are really, really cool because the client or customer only has to click 2 different times, automatically fills out their information, automatically delivers it to you. So if you're giving away something like a free market analysis, or if you're doing a, first time home buyer seminar with giveaways or whatever it is that you're doing, those lead form ads is a wonderful place to advertise it relatively inexpensively and collect legit contact data because it's their actual login data. And then the last one is app promotion. If you have your own app, depending on what type of MLS, well, MLS still exists, right? Just kidding. So depending on depending on what type of MLS you guys are a part of and where you are, you may have your own app. You may have even spent the time and the money to create your own app. There is actually a ad you can run that promotes the downloading and usage of that particular app too. So that might be another way that you want to choose your objective. So on the back end of the ads manager platform, it's a little bit more complicated, but you have a lot more options. So the first thing you're going to do is choose that objective, and then you're going to name that campaign, right? This is one of my favorite things, by the way, right here. I talked about split testing. They actually created on the back end of Ads Manager an A/B test. If you toggle this on, you can in the same moment create 2 different ads with 2 different images and slightly different copy content, and it will report to you back which one is hitting best with clients and customers. So you can actually split test directly through here, which I think is kind of cool. I've always been a nerd about that. So again, choose your budget schedule, daily, or you could do daily, you can do weekly, you can do total. You can select the start date, the time, and the end time. You can turn it on and off too if you really wanted to get complicated, if you wanted it off on like Sunday evenings or whatever it might be. So then you're going to go in, build your audience. Same thing we talked about before. It'll start to tell you, this is kind of like, I just cut a check to the IRS this past week, which was like one of the most depressing days of my life, by the way. But I use TurboTax, and at the top, there's like a little thing that talks about your refund. And in my case, it's like, I'm not getting anything back. I'm having to pay them more money. So it's in the red. But then there's also a audit likelihood. And so it's like green versus red. And it's like, oh, you're in the low. And so far they've been right. I think they're more right than the audience definition toolbar here on Instagram, because it'll always be like, yeah, this is perfect, right? So like, don't look at this. It's just a color wheel meant to make us feel good about ourselves or something. Don't worry as much about this. And this estimated audience size is total. When you can get this into the 2 to 400,000 range, that is kind of the sweet spot for what we're doing here. Unless, of course, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute, you're targeting former clients, customers, and your sphere directly, which you can also do using this stuff, which is really cool. But I typically like to be in the 3 to 500,000 person range. If you're in 28 million range, like too big, rein it in a little bit. And then it'll give you daily result estimations, like not only how many people it's gonna reach, but how many conversations will start. And here's where you can really start to get into creating an audience that's a little bit more powerful than what you can do on the Instagram app. So you can really dial in on this, and you start naming them and saving them. And just so you know, when you name an audience and you save an audience on the back end of Business Manager, Meta Business Manager, you will start to see that audience in your Instagram account as well. It will duplicate that audience and it will put it into your Instagram account, which is cool. So you're not having to repeat work. Placements is one of the next things. I used to be very anal about manual placements. I've since started to let Facebook use, and see their little AI thing here. How stupid, but whatever. It's not AI, but I've started to let Facebook determine for me where they think it would be best suited. If you decide to go in and do it manually, you can choose the platform, of course, and Messenger, Audience Network, Reels ad, banner ad, side ad. You can determine all of those things and go through. You can have them be message ads. Every once in a while when you see an ad and like you just hover on it for a second and a message pops up saying, "Hey, Katie, how's it going? How can we help you?" Like that's a message ad. It's actually a proactive message ad. I've never found them to work super well, but they look cool. So I still kind of do them from time to time as well. So here's a couple things that I want you to keep in mind when you're starting to think about running these types of ads, right? We talked about what should we be talking about? So what should the topic be? We all know about Canva and being able to go on and create some really easy content there, especially with Magic Create now. You can do it using AI very quickly and easily, throw your logo in there. But when you're starting to really dial in, here's a couple things to think of. I try to stay specific to at maximum a zip code. And the reason I say at maximum is if you start trying to target an entire city, your message is going to get lost, right? It's just going to get lost. So at a maximum, a zip code, preferably I would target a neighborhood or subdivision even more than I would target a zip code. What is that likely age range? Because of the regulatory and compliance environment of that special audience thing that I told you about, where you have to click housing. You can't mess with the age range a ton, but you still can a little bit. And then you can actually target based on income. So based on the area that you're in, it'll be able to decipher the level of income of the user, which is kind of nice. But start to get into some of the detailed targeting. There's a lot of things there that people don't even realize. We joked last week or last time when we talked about Google knowing that a woman's pregnant before the woman knows she's pregnant. Facebook and Instagram have very similar capabilities when it comes to their demographic tools. So when you go into detailed targeting, what I can tell you is most people will get lazy. They'll just throw in some demographics. They'll be like, "Oh, this looks like it, first-time home buyer, and this, that, and the other." Save, done. I got a new audience. If you go into Meta Business and you go in the back end through detailed targeting and behaviors, there's a whole section called residential profiles, and they have predictive analytics in there. So they have people likely to list, people likely to move, people likely to buy, people likely to upsize, downsize, people likely to change jobs. Like they have all kinds of predictive analytics under residential profiles. And then the last couple things that I would say is upload your sphere of influence in your past clients. It needs to be a list that's probably 1,500 or more to work very well. If you only have 300 or 400, it's probably not going to work very well. I'll show you a place that it will work very well in just a second, though. But upload that past list of clients in your sphere of influence. You can send targeted ads directly to those people. The reason I think that's really important, yes, I want some exposure familiarity ads going on out there. Yes, I want a few lead ads going on about either an event I have coming up or perhaps a promotion of some type that I have going on. But yes, I want my past clients and customers. I don't want to fall victim to that percentage that we've talked about before, right? 90+% of people that used a realtor to buy or sell a home said, yep, they were great. I would use them again, but we're only getting reused 20% of the time. We only have 20% repeat business. We're leaving 80% of our repeat business on the table. That is 4 out of 5, ladies and gentlemen. That's a problem, right? So how do we fix that problem? A lot of the ways we've talked about over the last few weeks, and uploading your sphere of influence and your past client list to a social media ad campaign to stay in front of them on a regular basis. And by the way, if I was going to do that, I might even make a graphic that was like, "It was awesome working with you in the past. Cheers to doing it again someday." Right? So they're like, "Oh my gosh, like Bev targeted me with this ad and it says we worked together before and she's hoping we work together again. That's cool. And I got a note from her last week. I love Bev." Right? So think about that. And then again, people are nerding out on real estate right now because all they keep hearing is that it's crazy. Start thinking about how to explain what that actually means. It actually means that there's more equity in American homeowners' pockets right now than ever in history. More homes are owned free and clear than ever in history in this moment right now. That's what it actually means, right? And so create some carousel ads with multiple properties. Don't just give them one option, give them several options. And when you do that, you get a lot more response. So if you want even more reach, I started looking at all this. There's some retargeting things. Some of it they've sunsetted at Facebook, but there's some retargeting things that they have that you can use. But one of my favorite things is still AdWorks. You can do the same thing where you target people, or you can use a list, which is what I did. I targeted very specific people. So if my future client just hopped on Instagram and saw a video of me at a local dog shelter, probably crying my eyes out because I want to take them all home with me, right? And then they saw, hey, I'm having an open house up the street, pop by. Then they saw, hey, you know, I was part of Habitat for Humanity. And, you know, this month I'm doing free market analysis for anybody in a certain area, trying to empower them with information to make smart financial decisions. And then they're on NBC or NPR, CNN, Fox News, CBS, MSNBC, Wall Street Journal, Lowe's.com, Home Depot, whatever. And they see an ad with that same guy up at top. I have just surrounded this person. If nothing else, they definitely know who I am. I used to spend about $300 a month on bench ads all over El Paso that basically made me feel good. Every once in a while, I had people make fun of me at the local watering hole, and almost always had mustaches and devil horns on them. And I was spending $300 a month to do that. For $1, $2, $3 a day, you can be running ads that are starting conversations, generating connection, and adding value to not only your past clients, but to your future clients as well. So if you want to take it to another level, I would look at something like AdWorks for retargeting. It's really cool when one of your past clients or customers sees you being advertised on a national or global website. It just feels cool. And again, you can target people directly and individually. So I am not the world's foremost authority on any of this stuff, but I do, you know, the next couple slides are the same ones I end with. Like, take one thing from today and go for it. I read Social Media Today and Social Media Examiner almost every day. So there's like 5 or 6 things I read every day, right? AI Tool Report, Marketing Brew, the Title Report, now that I'm in this space, Social Media Today, Social Media Examiner. This is where you're finding out what is the latest and greatest. And both of these have a really incredible YouTube channel that will show you and walk you through step-by-step strategies to do any of these things. I still think LinkedIn advertising is heavily underutilized as well. Why? Because it's a little bit more complicated. It's kind of a pain. But if you go to Social Media Examiner and you go to their YouTube channel, you'll see some really easy step-by-steps on how to create some really robust ads to grow your business. So like I always say, take one idea from today and go for it. There is Ham the Man. If you guys follow me on social, you saw like 2 weeks ago yesterday, he had basically what's in the human world would be like a knee reconstructive surgery. And so my mom is helping nurse him back to health right now. It is a 3-month plus recovery, which is like, for a dog that wants to just go like live his best life instantly, is very difficult. But as Ham would say, take one idea from today and go for it. When you do the work, the results follow every single time. I am living proof of it. I should be dead in the gutter somewhere, and by the grace of God, there go I. Here I am hanging out with awesome people like you guys. So for the last time in this 3-part series, thank you so much to the Acrisure family, Champion, MBH, and District Title. Bev, you've been awesome. Tell Ryan I said what's up, and Katie, it's been wonderful to see you. Myself, Tim, and Andrew, and the entire FNF family are honored and privileged to be a small part of your guys' team. And I think it's going to be an incredible year. So I hope some of this stuff was helpful. As usual, if you haven't already, please scan that QR code. There's some takeaways and stuff there. But also, I just love to stay connected because I like to tell my mom and dad that I have friends all over the country. So it's kind of fun for me. But if there's any questions, I'm glad to run through some of them. I haven't had a chance to look at the chat yet. What is that last side again? Social Media Examiner, Jacqueline. And yep, Michael, it'll be emailed out. Kay, you're very welcome. Contact him for more. Yeah, what are the 5 things he reads every day? Yeah, so I read the AI Tool Report. I read Morning Brew, the AI and marketing version. I read Social Media Today. I read Social Media Examiner. And then typically I kind of throw something like off the wall into that. But those are the 5 things that pretty much every morning I sit down and spend 5, 6, 7 minutes on. Yeah, cool. Well, it looks like we got some good feedback. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always an honor and a privilege. You guys have done a wonderful job. And onward and upward, my friends.
Thank you, Sam. And
Thank you
Katie,
so much.
Katie and I are sending out the slides and recordings later today. And follow Champion, MBH, and District Title on social media to see what other events we have coming out for you this year. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too.